What's up, guys? So, we finally have some news or information reveal on the next NASCAR game. I did see the whole interview video, but after watching it, I got the main talking points that I'm focused on from it. I'm not going to show it to you. I'm going to put a link in the description to the video so you guys can go check it out for yourself and listen to it in real time rather than me just sit there and play it. It is a long interview, and the topics that I really want to touch on, they're kind of spread out through there. So I would sit here, I'll be here all day doing it. I think this is a better way to do it. I think the initial article yesterday hits on most of the points I want to talk about, and then I jotted down a couple of extra points I wanted to make for the end, right? So hopefully this is better. I know the points I want to hit, and I'm still going to provide you with the link to the video itself. You guys should go check it out. All credit goes to Mike Straw and Insider Gaming. He is a real journalist, so I'm just here to give you my point of view on things. So, as you can see in this title right here, iRacing's NASCAR console game is being built in Unreal Engine led by Monster Games. So, we finally know the game engine they're using. It's not really surprising, right? Personally, I've talked about this many times throughout the past few years. I think people get way too hung up on game engines. It's like they automatically assume if something is on a specific game engine, it's going to be good or bad. I don't believe that at all. A game engine is a canvas to build a game with its own set of tools, right? And certainly from one game engine to the next, there's things that one game engine is probably better at achieving, right? Whatever goals for the game developer has. If you're building an open world game, it's a lot more complex. You gotta have NPCs that in a living, breathing world where things are happening that are unrelated to you, the player. It's a lot more complicated. Is my main point, right? If you're developing an open world game like Grand Theft Auto, just using as an example, then a specific game engine is gonna give you better results, right? But I've always said this, NASCAR games are very simple. And when I say simple, I'm not saying they're easy to make. I'm just saying that the way they're laid out, there's nothing overtly complicated about it compared to some open world adventure game that you might be trying to build, right? The hardest part is, getting the physics and the AI right? So once that works, there's your gameplay. And that's the most important part of the game. Once you get that, everything else is just layers, right? You got your, the graphics, the way that the art is rendered throughout the game. How's this game going to look? If you're talking about career mode, what happens when specific things happen on the track, what does that lead to, your user interface, the way that the career mode progresses, what happens off track. That's all extras, but it's not really that difficult. It's basic 101 game development, right? It just takes time. And of course, there's a vision behind it. That's where I'm focused, right? When it comes to the AI and the physics, I'm really feeling cautiously optimistic. I really believe in iRacing. I believe in Monster Games. These people have been doing this for a long time. They really care about this type of product. I think they're going to put forward their best effort. Also, keep in mind, we're just coming off of motorsport games and that disaster, right? So if there's anything good that we can get from the whole motorsport game saga is, I think, it provides an incentive for the next video game developer for a NASCAR game to do a good job. The last thing they want to do is come in after that disaster and give people something that's going to disappoint them. I really think they're going to put forth their best effort. And I think that is the one silver lining in the whole motorsport games saga. I think, like, people saw the disaster it was, they saw the reception by the community, and they know there's no room for error. Like, you can't come out with something that makes people say, this is disappointing. Because it's going to snowball real fast. I think the patience of the community is at an all-time low. People, they're sick and tired of year after year of disappointments and waiting and never really getting a product that is satisfying to the level we expect. So, all that being said, they're using the Unreal Engine. Great. I'm sick and tired of hearing people complain about the Unity engine. As I said, a game engine is a canvas with a set of tools. It's the people working on the game and their vision and what they're trying to achieve. That is what's going to give you that final product. It's 2024. We live in a time where it's almost like you have to on purpose make a game that looks bad. So I have no doubt the game's going to look good. It may not be mind-blowing graphics, but it's going to be solid at the very least, right? I'm not worried about that. And like I said, I don't care what game engine they use. I care about the people. You can give two different groups of people the same exact set of tools, and you're going to get two completely different products. So I'm just glad that we know what game engine it is, just to shut people up. I really think people used the Unity engine as a target, as a scapegoat, to blame all of the bad things that have happened. Blame it on the Unity game engine. I really disagree with that. So this doesn't really matter to me, but I'm happy for the rest of everybody. We could shut up about Unity. So, moving on from that, says NASCAR. Hold on a second. The NASCAR console game from iRacing is going to be developed with the Unreal Engine, with Monster Games leading the way. An exclusive interview, blah, blah, blah. Early stages, as well as some players expect with it all being in-house. Okay, Monster Games Group, they built a lot of NASCAR games. They're taking the lead on it, but we beefed up the group significantly. So, as I told you, I saw the whole video, right? This is a good breakdown of the topic, of the points that matter to me. That's why I went back to the article, because it's much more simple, basic, broken, and it breaks down the main topics that I want to hit on. So, since acquiring Monster Games in 2022, iRacing has boosted the team from 20 employees to 35. So they almost doubled the employees within that group. By the way, it's not here in the article. Oh, wait a minute, it is. It's right here. Okay, so since acquiring, okay, blah blah blah, 20 to 35. So it's almost double, right? On top of the staff increase, specifically, iRacing has loaned engineers to the studio for its work, increasing the manpower available for development. In the video, Tony Gardner specifically states that it's all hands on deck. So they are almost completely focused on the NASCAR game, and then also iRacing, the service. They're not really working on anything else at the moment. They do have, I think that other company they bought, Orestes, I think they're called. They're working on some other off-road futuristic type game, but that's a smaller project. But they loaned their own engineers from the iRacing side of things to help with this. So I'm assuming this is going to be more about the physics and the AI, right? Helping in that department. As Tony Gardner also says in the video, as you'll see, they don't have the experience that the Monster Game Group has in terms of the video game side of things. Things like career mode, things like the type of things you expect, right? Presentation, all that other stuff that isn't really part of the iRacing service. iRacing is just get on the track and race, right? So it's all about physics. It's all about the AI, right? Because they also have AI. So yes. So let me read a little more because I'm getting a bit ahead of myself. So let's see. It's also providing tech used within iRacing itself for the games being developed by the Monster team, or what iRacing is now referring to as the console studio, which is what I was going to mention. So it's not really just the Monster Games group. It's them plus like the engineers that they're loaning them, as well as other people they've hired. So Tony Gardner did also mentions that they have a console specific development studio that is working on that side of things, right? So they have a group that's just specialized in that area working on that. So it sounds great. I don't have any issues so far with anything they've talked about. They're using our car models, our tracks, and a lot of our tech, and they've done a lot of integration on the back end. So when we update a track, we're bringing all of our NASCAR tracks up to the latest spec, get them all current, and they have developed a system where they can just import our tracks and things like that. He talks about this as well in the video. And this is what gets me the most excited, because this was a question mark for me. We already know they used assets for their the other game, World of Outlaws, right? And I was thinking, are they going to be able to do this with the NASCAR game, or are they just doing everything from scratch? So he did confirm, as you just saw here, and in the video when you go watch that, he confirms it that their console group developed a way where they can import things directly from the iRacing side of things into the console side. So they're using assets right out of the iRacing service, the cars and the tracks, right? So why is that so exciting for me? Because that puts them way ahead of the game. Rather than just, okay, we're starting from scratch. I've talked about this before. When you build a game from scratch, especially the first time on a console, you got to design and develop the cars. You got to design and develop the racetracks. Then you got to, are we going to laser scan or not? There's so much involved before you ever even get to career mode and layering everything out and the user interface. How is everything going to work? Before you even get to that, you have to have assets, right? Like a Lego set, and you're just putting pieces together. It takes time. The fact that they can import this stuff is huge. This and I'm just freeballing it here, right? This is not an exact number. I'm not a game developer. There's a lot I don't know about the technical side of things, but I would imagine this cuts at least a year, maybe a year and a half of development time, just being able to take tracks and assets and cars and then focus on tying everything together for a video game, and then adding career mode, adding, all of the fleshing out the game, right? So to speak. So that is exciting, and that means that, and Tony Gardner mentions that he made it sound simple. Like he said that it's really just taking it from iRacing and putting it in the game, that they've actually developed a way to do it, and he made it sound simple. Like it wasn't like, It's really technically difficult, but we got guy. No, it was like, hey, they developed a way to do it, and we can just take assets from here, insert them here. And that's one of the reasons why World of Outlaws was developed as quickly as it was, right? Yes, Monster Games did start development on that on their own, but once they got bought out by iRacing, they really got things moving quick because iRacing was there and they were like, boom, we can use these assets, put them in the game, we can do this, we can. So this is really good news because it means that as iRacing, the service, is always updating, always developing, right? It's going to be much quicker and easier to update the video game side of things. And that means they can focus more on the other areas where NASCAR games have been lacking, right? Career mode, all that good stuff. And he did mention something else that I want to bring up that I'm really happy to hear is in the video somewhere he does mention that they have like a group that is only focused on career mode, like all the fleshed out part of the game. Like they have a group of people for that because if you think about it, it's different skill sets, right? In game development, you got people that are just rendering the artwork. Then you got people that are focused on the mathematical side of things, right? Programming. How do we get the physics to do the things we want it to do and behave the way we want it to behave? How do we get the AI to function the way we want it to? That's a different skill set than the guy who's actually rendering the artwork and making sure everything looks the way it's supposed to look and polished and all that stuff. So I love hearing that they have, and he did say that they're taking the career mode thing really seriously. They know how important it is. And by the way, before I forget, I did jot this down. The iRacing service side of things, they're releasing a career mode in 2025, right? So I don't know what that's going to look like. And I would not assume that it's going to be anything like the console. I think it's going to be maybe a stripped down version. I don't know how deep they're going to go into it, right? But I am excited because I really believe that is something that's going to add a lot of value to iRacing. When you pay that subscription and you're part of that, it's really going to add value, right? And I love hearing that. So I wanted to get that out the way. That is something that is being worked on, and it is due to come out sometime in 2025, right? Hopefully there's no delays, things like that. They don't want to spread themselves too thin like motorsport games did, and he did mention that. So yes, career mode's coming to iRacing, and they have a specific group of people just focused on career mode, and that's what I want to hear. That's what I want to hear, and that makes me feel good. I'm not going to get too carried away or ahead of myself. We got to wait and see, right? And you guys know I will be honest and I will hold them accountable and I will be critical when I need to be. But I'm not going to lie to you guys. I feel good about what I'm hearing, and I do feel confident because, say what you want about Monster Games. They have a long history of working on NASCAR games. They do have experience. And I do think they learned a lot at 704 with the criticism that they got and the things that weren't in the game. And I think that they're going to want to make up for that. The fact is, now they have better resources, more resources. They have iRacing behind them, and iRacing has engineers that are being loaned to them to help out. So any issues that they have, I don't think it's going to be anything major. I feel confident here, as confident as I could be, right? But sounds really exciting. So yes, let me move on from that. So they mentioned the game engine as far as the engine, blah blah blah. then no longer be built on Unity, as was the case on the Motorsport games. What? Yeah, this is a misprint. I didn't even notice this. Okay, so they made a mistake. Because Motorsport games used Unreal, which is what they're using. So they say here, no longer be built on Unity, as was the case on the Motorsport games. So that's a mistake. I'm sure that's probably putting the article together. It's just you mix things up. I've mixed up Unity and Unreal myself just talking. This was a mistake. So Motorsport games used Unreal, and you saw how that turned out. This is why I tell you guys, don't get carried away with the whole game engine thing. It's something that will bring NASCAR to the next generation, that Gardner and the team at iRacing feel was necessary moving forward. So this here is a typo or just a misprint, right? I think if they go back, they'll realize, wait a minute, Motorsport games used Unreal. Unity was used by Monster Games with the old Heat series, right? And I believe World of Outlaws, excuse me. So this whole thing here, yeah, it's a misprint. Okay. In addition to an updated engine, there's a heavy focus on the driving and features offered within the game. While Gardner couldn't go into too much due to how early in development the game still is, he did say they will have a focus on what they want to achieve with the first game. We want a real focus on the driving as iRacing as a brand. As I told you guys before, I'm not really worried about the gameplay. I just have a feeling like it's gonna work. I think Monster Games has shown they know how to do good AI, and iRacing has good AI, right? There are issues with it, but they're more related to the difficulty, right? It's inconsistent, right? But they have like 1,000 fucking tracks, and it's pretty hard to get every track to have the same performance from the AI at each setting. I think with a console, it's only NASCAR, so it's only a certain number of tracks. They should be able to, tweak that, right? We'll wait and see. But that is my one issue with the iRacing AI. But the AI is really good, and they do drive sort of realistically. They don't look like they're on rails, so I have no reason to doubt they're going to do a decent job with that. So when you look at the physics, when you look at the AI, they're going to put together something that feels right in terms of the racing, the gameplay. Also, they've already stated they're not looking for a sim. They're not looking for arcade. They're trying to meet somewhere in the middle because you want to reach a wider audience. I have no problem with that. I don't think the game needs to be a fucking hardcore sim, and I definitely don't want an arcade, right? I want something, I think, it has to be more sim than like the Heat games, obviously, right? I want more sim type physics, but I don't need it to be iRacing. Okay? Definitely, I'd rather have it more sim than arcade, but yeah, you got to make compromises there. So that's that. Let's see. So there's going to be a lot of focus on good driving. Career mode is really important with a console game. And so there's obviously a lot of effort in that. I don't want to give away too much about the game. We've got new news coming, but the way the game works is with some fun new stuff in it that I can't talk about quite yet. So it's scheduled for 2025. Okay, so that's the main. This is the simple article. But as you could see here, the video is available on YouTube. Go watch it in its entirety, and then anything I didn't cover, you'll get. There is one more thing I'm going to mention, and it is pretty important. And I got that from the video. It's not here in the article. customization. And Mike Straw did ask about the customization. He did mention trading paints, which is something that you can use on iRacing, and it really gives you 100% freedom to create a paint scheme. Now, Mr. Gardner here did say he didn't waste time. He says, I don't want to disappoint people, but yeah, you're not going to get that. And I'm not surprised about it. I'm not even disappointed, right? I didn't expect to be able to use trading paints. I didn't expect that level of freedom. However, I am a little concerned. I really want something a little more deeper than what you see in iRacing. Like if you only use iRacing, there's a certain number of templates and you could change the colors on the templates. You could play with a few things, but it's not deep enough for me. It's not going to make or break the game, but I do want to see some effort put into it where they can expand on it down the road. But yeah, I didn't expect to be able to use trading paints. And it does, another thing that kind of brings up, because he says, well, it's a console game. It's not going to give you the same level of freedom as you get on PC. And it reminds me of something else. And I'm hoping that the peripherals, I'm a little worried about that. Like, when you look at iRacing, you can use just about any wheel pedal setup you can think of. You can use a hand controller. It's all customizable. You got options for triple screen setups. You got the option to use VR. You can adjust the field of view. All of those settings, I wonder how much freedom we're going to have, or options, in the console game. They need to be a lot more than what we saw with the Heat series. There weren't that many options. I want to know it's a racing game. It's 2024. I would be really disappointed if you can't run triple screen, if you can't use VR. I don't use VR, but a lot of people do. And VR, if there's one thing that people will spend money on VR for, it's for racing. It's tailor-made for racing games. Even the PlayStation has their own VR, and it works with games like Gran Turismo, things like that. Like, I really will be disappointed if we don't get at least options to use that stuff, right? And I definitely want to run triple screens. That's how my whole setup is. I'm planning to get it on PC. I know the chances are very slim that it'll work with my D-Box motion simulator, but because who knows, right? iRacing, because iRacing works with it, and there's going to be a lot of compatibility, with the assets and all that. I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. I don't want to get my hopes up, but yeah, those are the things that worry me: the customization and the peripherals and that stuff. But everything else sounds good to me. I like what I'm hearing. I don't think I missed anything. I am going to put a link to the video in the description. Go check it out. But I think the basic points that I hit, they're mostly here, other than the customization that I talked about, that I got from the video. And iRacing career mode, he does talk about that, what their plans are coming in 2025. That's part of the video. So again, thanks to Mike Straw at Insider Gaming for the information. He's the only one that really is covering this stuff. So I'm grateful for that. And go check out the video. Give them a like. And that's pretty much it. Those are my thoughts so far. They are planning to reveal more information. Like he said, he can't reveal everything. But so far, I like the direction they're going. I like what I'm hearing. But, cautiously optimistic, of course. So those are pretty much my thoughts. I look forward to your comments. Let me know what you guys think later.